Most people want to go viral, but they just don't know how. So today I'm going to show you how I write and script a 100,000 view reel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Chris. I grew 100,000 followers in 5 weeks and have been sold out 6 months in a row. Short form content is all I do, and I currently have 166,000 followers. So today I'm going to play you a reel that I did 100,000 views with. I regularly get 100,000 views when I kind of script intentionally. Views aren't always the goal, but when it is, you want to be able to have the method to the madness in order to script effectively. So without further ado, I'm just going to play you the video real quick first so you can watch it, and then I'm going to give you the line by line breakdown on how it works. So let's play it.
Have you ever touched a big black book? It's a 600-page internal document of the billion-dollar publishing company Agora. You had to find and beg the few people that had it in hopes that they would share. But let me share 2 insights from the book that will double your views. So the first is a framework called CUB. There are only 3 reasons that viewers stop watching. The content is either confusing, unbelievable, or boring. So audit your script to find those spots and either delete it or show proof right away so they keep watching. But regular proof isn't enough, which is why you want to use a technique called 3-proof sequencing. When you make a big claim, show exactly 3 things to prove it. Start with a fact so the viewer can't argue. Then use a quote for credibility. Finally, a quick story so they connect emotionally.
Okay, so that is the reel. I'll show you right here. This currently has 133,000 views, 1.8K in likes, 305 comments. So this is the transcript of the line by line breakdown. So I'm going to show you. The first part of the script is to create curiosity. So you see it's a curiosity hook. Have you ever touched a big black book? And obviously I'm playing into the fact that, you know, the book is called Big Black Book, and then obviously there's a pun that comes into my mind on how I can make this, you know, curious and to stop the scroll. You have to understand that viewers that are scrolling on their phone, they're there to be entertained, especially on short form. They're not there to learn anything special. So entertainment has to come first, and in order to capture their attention, we need to make them curious. That is the only reason why the viewer would stop. So the way I was able to play into it was, have you ever touched a big black book? And if you notice on my video, I actually paused before saying book. But the main thing you can also see, I use a green screen format to really lean into this, is to obviously have 4 people that are very famous within this sort of industry. And I have the on-screen text that says it's bigger than you think. But this is actually playing into, it's not clickbait if you actually deliver on what you're promising. So it is actually related because it's a 600-page book. So I'm going to show you a little bit more now. So you can see I go into the first one. The first line is a curiosity hook. We just covered that. Second line is a super hook. Now the super hook is to give the viewer a reason to listen and to watch and to trust, right? You're scrolling 50 miles per hour. You don't have to stop and watch that piece of content. There's so many pieces of content. You can just flick and then a new piece would show up. So the super hook is to give them reason to stay. You've made them curious. Well, I've made them curious with the curiosity hook and then also the on-screen overlay. Now is to give them a reason to stick around. So I say it's a 600-page internal document of the billion-dollar publishing company Agora. Keywords. 600-page means it's big, and I'm tying it into it's bigger than you think. That's the connection. And then I go into internal document. So internal document is hinting that it is secret. If it is a public document or is just a regular book, you wouldn't care, right? But since it's an internal document, you're like, ooh, that must be like where the real secrets are. So I hint internal document of the billion-dollar publishing company Agora. I could have just said it's a 600-page internal document of the company Agora or publishing company Agora. It's okay. It does create curiosity, but what it doesn't, you know, it's like it doesn't create enough of like why you should care. There's hints secret, there's specificity with the 600-page, but it's a billion-dollar publishing company Agora. So you're now like, oh, okay, there's a reason for me to stick around and listen. So I double down on that with a primer. So the purpose of the primer is to double the viewer's curiosity. If I said, hey, let me tell you a secret, you'll instantly, your ears perk up because it's like, okay, tell me, what's the secret? And if I say, let me tell you a secret, but promise me to not tell anyone, you're like, you're even more locked in. So how can we use a primer within our content in order to create more double the viewer's curiosity? And so I use one right here that said, you have to find and beg the few people that had it in hopes that they would share. And I even used a on-screen picture of a guy that's holding the actual book just to show like congruency. There are only 3 reasons why a person will skip your video. It's called the Cub framework, and that's exactly what I would talk about in this reel, right? It's either confusing, unbelievable, or boring. So to mitigate confusing, we want to show visual aid, essentially exactly what I'm saying. I'm showing visually. Unbelievable, it means like I'm stating some crazy claim, so you want to show some visual proof to back it up. And then boring, obviously you have to select topics carefully. So going back to right here, I say you have to find and beg the people that had it in hopes that they would share. That doubles your curiosity. So the viewer is completely locked in by now. We've hooked them, we give them a reason to stick around, double their curiosity. And then I only use 1 line of context. People often go through like 6, 7, or 8 lines of context, and with long form that might work, but with short form, you realistically only have 1. If you're super good, you might have 3 lines max. But most people you only want to use 1 to 2 lines, and I lean more towards the 1 line. So I go, but let me share 2 insights from the book that will double your views. And you can see how it's like I specify it's 2 insights from the book, and it also like puts it into a potential gain for the viewer, so the person watching, because they don't really have to watch, right? It's like, what's in it for me? You have to always think it's like, if you're creating educational content, what's in it for the viewer? So it will double your views. 1 line of context, that's it. And then I go right into the first framework, which is the net new value. Net new value is defined by non-obvious, where the viewer has likely never heard, and highly tactical, where the viewer can use today insights, right? So if you're just look through it, the lens of your insights that you share, if it's not net new value, might as well don't make it, because it's not actually helpful. People can AI it and then just get better answers. So always look through our content. The most viral content, educational content, is always ones that are using net new value. So I go right into it. The first is a framework called Cub. There are only 3 reasons that the viewer stops watching. This is all net new value, right? I go through the non-obvious part first, which is there are only 3 reasons that viewers stop watching. The content is either confusing, unbelievable, or boring. So chances are you would know these 3 things, but you've not heard it said in a framework like this, which is why it's the non-obvious part of when I mentioned the net new value. And then I go with the highly tactical part, where they're giving the viewer something they can use today. So audit your script to find those spots and either delete it or show proof right away so people keep watching. And then as I was saying it, I overlaid exactly, proof just to demonstrate it, so it increases the viewer's comprehension. I'm essentially eating my own cooking and showing you exactly how I'm doing this. So this is net new value part 1, but I did say 2 insights from right here. So I go into a rehook. This is a very crucial line. I go, but regular proof isn't enough, right? So because I say show proof right here, regular proof is enough. And it gets you re-engaged right there, because originally you might be like, oh, okay, I get the point. So the second part is just to show proof. Got you. I'm done. I'll go to the next reel. But the way to get you to lock the viewer, to lock in again, you have to say, but regular proof isn't enough. So you feel like you understand that it's proof, but you're still missing a key part of the information on how to make it, what isn't regular proof. So I then go into net new value again, which is why you want to use a technique called 3-proof sequencing. Now, this is a unique mechanism, like name, right? You're like, what the heck is 3-proof sequencing? Again, in my reel, if you remember, like I have the visual demonstration of like the 3 examples. So when you make a big claim, show exactly 3 things to prove it. Again, the non-obvious part first. And then now I move into the highly tactical. 2 lines of non-obvious, and then 3 lines of highly tactical. Start with a fact so the viewer can't argue. Then use a quote for credibility. Finally, a story so they connect emotionally. Non-obvious right here, highly tactical right here. This is what it takes in order to script a 100,000 view reel. And I always say this, but look for also the end of each line. You can see how if you connect the end of each line together, it draws a jagged line. That means it's scripted for pacing and rhythm. If it's straight and narrow, like the end of the lines, so kind of straight down like this one, then it's just going to sound monotone, and the pacing is just going to be off and a bit boring. So always look for the jagged end, and then also look at how like I use but and so for my transitions in order to create tension. Instead of the words and then, it's like creating a list of like I went downstairs and then I went to buy breakfast and then I went to get coffee and then I rode my bike and then I went home. Sounds kind of boring, right? But when you use but and so, it makes it the tension just gets dialed up, and that's exactly how the South Park guys write every single episode of South Park, which is why you can see. But let me share 2 insights from the book that will double your views. So the first framework, see but and then so, and then right here again so audit your script to find those spots and either delete it or show proof right away, so people keep watching. But regular proof is enough. It's like show proof, but regular proof is enough. So which is why you want to zigzag back and forth, not only with the way that you write the script, but also the way that you deliver it. So these are the few things that I use in order to regularly script 100,000 view reels. But if you actually want to build 100,000 followers, like add 100,000 followers to where you are at now and have a strong personal brand, you should check out this video. It's called the 100K personal brand plan. It's the fastest way I know in order to add 100,000 followers. I outline all of the stages and each of the steps within each stage in order to get there. It's the fastest way I know to do it. Check it out. See you guys on the next one.